You're about to find out who punished Meghan Markle and why it seriously sucks to be Meghan Markle. Spoiler: it's not just the British press, although they've been treating her like she tried to colonize them. Imagine thinking you're marrying into a fairy tale and waking up in a royal-themed episode of Black Mirror. Meghan didn't just get a tiara. She got protocol, paparazzi, palace drama, and a family so cold they make the Antarctic look like a jacuzzi. In this video, we'll unpack the real-life soap opera starring a Hollywood actress who tried to become a princess, but instead became Britain's most stylish scapegoat. If you think marrying a prince is a dream, Meghan would like a refund and maybe a therapist. Stay tuned. Let's start at the beginning. Back when Meghan Markle was just a regular American girl with big dreams, decent handwriting, and a future that didn't involve tea etiquette or curtsying to her own grandmother-in-law. Born in sunny California, she was raised by a yoga-loving mother and a father who would later turn selling out your daughter into a full-time side hustle. As a kid, Meghan was writing letters to companies complaining about sexist commercials. At that time, the only crown she was thinking about was probably on a cheeseburger. Then came acting. She landed a gig on Suits, playing a paralegal so convincing, people thought she actually passed the bar. Spoiler: she didn't. But Hollywood was just the warm-up act. Because nothing says plot twist like marrying into one of the oldest monarchies while being American, biracial, divorced, and opinionated. That's like applying to be a vegan chef at a Texas barbecue. It was bound to get spicy. When Meghan met Prince Harry, the world gasped. A prince dating an actress? Disney was taking notes. But reality isn't scripted, and Meghan quickly learned that while fairy tales end with happily ever after, royal life begins with 20 pages of protocol, an NDA, and the Daily Mail waiting outside your bathroom. Here's where the crown starts to slip. The moment Meghan said, "I do," she might as well have said, "I don't," to privacy, freedom, and ever being liked by the British tabloids. Almost immediately, the press treated her like she was auditioning for the role of royal villain number 1. Everything she did became a scandal. She touched her pregnant belly too often? She's attention-seeking. She eats avocados? That's apparently linked to deforestation, murder, and possibly mild indigestion in the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Kate Middleton eats an avocado, and it's charming and chic. If Meghan wore black, it was inappropriate. If she laughed too loudly, it was disrespectful. If she breathed near the Queen's corgi, it was a constitutional crisis. The British press began a full-on crusade. Headlines compared her to gang members. They questioned her background, her motives, and her ability to hold a teacup. And it wasn't just the press. The palace itself seemed allergic to her presence. Staff reportedly called her Duchess difficult, which, in royal terms, is basically the same as being excommunicated. Meghan, who had come from a world where she could speak her mind, suddenly found herself in a world where even blinking too fast could spark a scandal. She was expected to be silent, elegant, and invisible like a ghost in designer heels. Then came the very British cold shoulder. You know, the kind where no one screams, but everyone's silence is so loud it echoes. She and Harry were denied the same support that other royals received. Remember when Kate cried before her wedding? The palace defended her. But when rumors emerged that Meghan made Kate cry, the palace said nothing. That's right, they let the world roast her like a Christmas goose. And then came the tabloid lawsuits, the drama with her father, who suddenly discovered the joy of being interviewed by literally every media outlet on the planet. He showed more loyalty to paycheck offers than to his own daughter. The cherry on top? Her own half-sister Samantha, a woman who didn't even grow up with Meghan, wrote a tell-all book. And what exactly did she reveal? That she was jealous. That's it. It was basically a long Yelp review from an estranged sibling. At the same time, Meghan was trying to fit into a family that viewed her like she was radioactive. Family dinners were reportedly tense enough to make Game of Thrones seem like a tea party. Prince Harry later admitted in interviews that certain royals had concerns about their future child's skin color. That's not a subplot, that's a scandal with a tiara. But the final straw came when Meghan opened up to the press, specifically in that now infamous Oprah interview. Sitting under a tree, looking like she was about to start a wellness podcast, Meghan dropped royal truth bombs one by one. She talked about her mental health struggles, feeling suicidal, and being denied help by the palace because it wouldn't look good. You know, because when someone's suffering, the priority should always be optics. Obviously. So yeah, marrying a prince might look glamorous. But for Meghan, it came with a tabloid sniper squad, a suspicious in-law squad, and enough palace drama to fuel 6 seasons of reality TV. And we're not even at the climax yet. As Meghan's roller coaster reached its highest loop, you could almost hear the royal corgis screaming in terror. The apex came on a warm afternoon beneath an oak tree, when Meghan sat down for that bombshell interview with Oprah. Imagine the most polite prison escape confession ever broadcast on primetime television. With perfect poise, she recounted feeling trapped in a gilded cage, where her cries for help were met with polite nods and an expense report for therapy. She revealed that she had pleaded for mental health support, only to be told that admitting she struggled would be bad for the institution, because nothing says compassion like denial, wrapped in protocol and served with a side of silence. She described one private palace meeting where she was asked to tone down the melanin in her future child's skin while Harry sat there recoiling like a vampire in sunlight. That moment did not just break the internet, it detonated it. Viewers everywhere gasped as if they had just witnessed a royal wedding collapse in real time. But the real crescendo occurred the instant the world saw Harry's face when Meghan spoke. He looked as though he had just discovered his childhood toy train set was secretly a tax audit. The palace issued a statement so carefully worded it sounded like poetry about mushrooms on toast. They claimed the interview was unhelpful to the family circle. Meanwhile, tabloids stalked Meghan's every move, from her choice of coat to the angle of her smile. Every outfit became a diplomatic incident. A tweed blazer was interpreted as a declaration of war. A simple pair of jogging pants was labeled a threat to national security. The once carefree actress found herself negotiating with journalists the same way a hostage negotiator bargains for someone's freedom. Only in this scenario, the hostage was her sense of normal life. Behind closed doors, Meghan's world had become a pressure cooker of lawsuits, non-disclosure battles, branded podcast deals, and production meetings for her Netflix projects. Every legal letter felt like a medieval scroll declaring her guilty until proven innocent. She fought back filing suits against the press, only to read the next day that she was the one silencing free speech. She tried to champion causes close to her heart and ended up being accused of virtue signaling so loudly she might have registered as a sonic weapon. And through it all, she maintained a composure so flawless that even her tears seemed to have undergone royal training. The climax of her struggle wasn't a single moment but an unending crescendo of slights and slander punctuated by tiny victories that felt like finding a penny in a wishing well. By the time she and Harry boarded their private jet to seek sanctuary in California, the climax had crested and crashed into an ocean of relentless tabloid hysteria. This was not a fairy tale ending. It was the climax of a tragicomedy, where the villain was the institution itself, and the hero was forced to rewrite the script in real time. And so, Meghan and Harry left the palace gates like two royals in exile. Only instead of horses and banishment, it was private jets and Spotify deals. But don't get it twisted, the drama didn't end when they hit LAX. In fact, the paparazzi were waiting at baggage claim like it was the Oscars, and Meghan was up for most overanalyzed human being alive. Life in California was supposed to be peaceful, but peace doesn't come easy when half the internet calls you a woke warrior, and the other half wants to know why you didn't name your baby Queen Elizabeth III. She kept trying. Philanthropy, books, TV deals, hand-holding Harry through every PR nightmare. But the press just couldn't let go. They still covered her as if she had personally set Buckingham Palace on fire with a scented candle from Goop. And through it all, Meghan kept smiling. Not the Hollywood smile, but the tight, exhausted one that says, "Please let me drink this green juice in peace." By the end of it, Meghan didn't look like a woman who escaped the royal family. She looked like someone who survived it. And somehow, despite the gossip, the lawsuits, the betrayals, and the Queen's frosty glances, she's still standing. With better posture than most of us, honestly. So what does it all mean? What's the moral of this very royal meltdown with Meghan at the center? Like a duchess-shaped lightning rod? Well, first off, it proves that even if you marry a prince, life can still be a flaming bag of anxiety delivered to your doorstep by the Daily Mail. Meghan went from being a working actress with a decent wardrobe and a healthy sense of purpose to becoming the symbolic enemy of the British tabloid empire and the unwelcome guest at a very dysfunctional family dinner. Her story is a satire of modern fame. She tried to play the role of real-life princess, but forgot to read the fine print. Must be silent, perfect, white adjacent, and emotionally bulletproof. And when she didn't meet that ridiculous checklist, the backlash came faster than you can say, royal protocol violation. But maybe the biggest twist is this? Despite it all, Meghan still represents something dangerous to the old system. A woman who said no. No to the rules, no to the silence, no to the smiling through it. In the same breath, she became both a symbol of empowerment and a lightning rod for everything people love to hate about change. Whether you love her, loathe her, or just wish she'd stop showing up in your feed, Meghan Markle is the messy, complicated, and painfully modern reminder that fairy tales don't always come with glass slippers. Sometimes they come with lawsuits, leaked text messages, and Oprah. And she's still here, still talking, still walking through Montecito like nothing can touch her, except maybe the HOA complaining about her rescue chickens. If you made it this far without throwing your tea at the screen, congratulations, you're now more emotionally stable than the entire British press corps. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your hottest Meghan Markle take. Was she a royal rebel, or just misunderstood in a tiara? Either way, your opinion is just as important as a palace statement, ignored by the people in power, but wildly entertaining for the rest of us.